Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today, we're going to be talking about Fratres Machina, an album by musician and composer György Kibler,
Ah, yes.
which translates to Brother Machine.
That's right.
And that kind of gives you a little bit of a hint about what this is all about.
Yeah.
Basically, Kibler has taken modern classical music, which is usually performed on traditional acoustic instruments.
Right.
And he has reimagined it through synthesizers.
Yeah, and modern classical music often has this inherent resistance to electronic instruments. So Kibler is kind of blurring the lines here, almost staging a musical rebellion in a way.
I like that, a musical rebellion. Okay, so walk me through this. How did this whole thing get started?
Well, it all started with a single track. Kibler's synthesizer cover of Fratres by Arvo Pärt. Now, Pärt is a composer known for actively avoiding electronic instruments in his work. So Kibler choosing to reinterpret Fratres using synthesizers was a pretty bold move.
Yeah, so what was the response to this electronic version of Fratres?
People loved it. The response was so positive that Kibler decided to make a full album of synthesizer interpretations. He even brought in video artists like Mark Wilhelm, who works under the name Future Error, to create these visuals to add another dimension.
Really interesting. So it sounds like he's really trying to build a bridge here between what a lot of people might consider a very complex genre of music, modern classical music, and a wider audience through this kind of fusion of sound and imagery.
Yeah, and also, you mentioned Isao Tomita,
Yeah.
and he was a pioneer of electronic music back in the 1970s, famous for his synthesizer interpretations of classical pieces. So Kibler draws a lot of inspiration from Tomita. But instead of focusing on the traditional classical canon, he specifically chose modern classical works.
Now, why would he do that? Is there something about modern classical that drew him to this approach?
Absolutely. Kibler is fascinated by what he calls a compositional arc in modern classical music, a shift toward a more structured, almost algorithmic approach.
Interesting. Okay, so tell me about this compositional arc. What does that mean?
Well, traditional classical music often relies on very human elements like emotion and intuition in the compositional process. Modern classical music, while still deeply emotional, often incorporates more mathematical and structural elements, almost like there's a code or formula at play.
So instead of purely expressing emotion, they're adding this extra layer of structure and calculation.
That's right. And that's precisely what Kibler finds so intriguing. He sees this shift toward the structured and algorithmic as a potential precursor to AI-generated music.
Whoa, so he's looking ahead to the future, where machines might be composing music.
Right.
Wow, never thought about it that way. So by choosing to reinterpret these modern classical pieces with synthesizers, he's not only highlighting their unique compositional elements, but he's also drawing a connection to this potential future of AI in music.
That's right. And it's important to remember that he's choosing composers, modern classical composers who have largely avoided electronic instruments in their work. It adds another layer of irony to this project, and it further challenges the traditional boundaries.
Right, between these musical worlds.
Yeah.
So that raises some big questions. If modern classical is paving the way, for AI-composed music, what does that mean for human composers and musicians? Is it a threat? Is it an opportunity? Or is it maybe a little bit of both?
That's one of the fascinating threads that Kibler weaves into this project. Remember, the title is Brother Machine, so he's going beyond as the music. He's exploring this whole relationship between humans and machines.
Okay, so tell me more about this man-and-machine theme. How does that actually manifest in Fratres Machina?
Well, Kibler specifically chose modern classical pieces that have a very distinct kind of mechanical sound to them, almost like they're hinting at this machine-like precision. And this is where the visuals come back into play. The videos are filled with references to HAL 9000 from Stanley Kubrick's film 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Ah, yes. HAL 9000, the sentient computer who goes a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it goes off the rails a bit.
I can see how that imagery ties in to this whole man versus machine. Where is this relationship heading?
Kibler doesn't just use this HAL 9000 imagery randomly. He's drawing very specific parallels between HAL artificial intelligence and the potential future of AI in music composition. And to do this, he even incorporated footage from the HAL project, which is a meticulous 4K restoration of HAL's computer interface screens from the film.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. To use those restored visuals, which were originally meant to represent advanced technology back in the 1960s, to now explore AI in the 21st century. That's a really cool juxtaposition.
It is. And this connection to HAL 9000 isn't just some random visual element. It ties directly back to Kibler's own personal story.
Okay, so tell me about that. What's Kibler's connection to HAL 9000 and his whole man versus machine thing?
Well, as a child, Kibler was completely captivated by 2001, A Space Odyssey, and in particular, HAL 9000. He was also fascinated by Isao Tomita's electronic interpretations of classical music. And he even credits both of these influences with shaping his early appreciation for classical music.
That's so cool. So this entire project is really a culmination
Yeah.
of his lifelong passions. Modern classical music, interpreted through electronic instruments.
Yeah.
All woven together with this exploration of man and machine.
Yeah.
Which is a theme that's fascinated him since childhood.
That's right.
It's remarkable.
It is. And there's one more layer to all of this. Kibler has always dreamed of creating a music-based art film, something along the lines of Philip Glass's Koyana Squatsi, which combines these stunning visuals with a hypnotic minimalist score. He sees Fratres Machina as a step towards realizing that dream.
So he's combined his personal experiences, his artistic vision, this thought-provoking commentary on technology and music, all in one project.
Absolutely.
I'm hooked. I want to know more about the specific pieces that he chose.
Yeah.
And how he brought them to life musically and visually.
Let's get into it then. We'll unpack some of those choices and really dig into what makes Fratres Machina such a compelling listening and viewing experience, host-speaker. So let's dive into some of the specific pieces on Fratres Machina. We've already talked about Fratres by Arvo, which was really the inspiration for this whole project. What makes that piece so special, and how did Kibler approach it from an electronic perspective?
Well, Fratres is known for being this incredibly moving and meditative piece. It's built on a simple, repeating melody, but it has this incredible depth of emotion. It's like it just hangs in the air, almost suspended in time.
And how does Kibler translate that to the world of synthesizers? I mean, how do you capture that ethereal quality using electronic instruments?
It's really fascinating. He takes that ethereal quality and he kind of infuses it with this subtle electronic pulse, almost like a heartbeat. You know, it's still very much Fratres, but it's been transported into this new, almost futuristic soundscape. It's both familiar and completely different at the same time.
That's a great way to put it. And what about the video for Fratres? How does that play into all of this?
Oh, the video is mesmerizing. It features these abstract geometric shapes that shift and morph in perfect sync with the music. It's almost hypnotic to watch.
So you have this piece of music that already has this feeling of timelessness. And then you add this visual layer.
Right. That enhances that even further.
That's right. It's like creating a portal to another dimension or something.
Exactly. And this is just one example. Kibler collaborated with several different video artists on Fratres Machina, each one bringing a unique style to the project. So it's not just one consistent visual aesthetic. The visuals change and evolve along with the music.
Which makes sense given his goal of really showcasing the breadth of modern classical music.
You mentioned David Martin, the 4K film restoration specialist. What role did he play?
Well, Martin's expertise is front and center in Kibler's interpretation of Einstein on the Beach by Philip Glass.
Einstein on the Beach. Now that's an incredibly long, minimalist opera.
It is, about 5 hours long. So obviously Kibler didn't cover the entire thing, but he chose a section of Einstein on the Beach that's known for this relentless, repetitive energy.
I can see where this is going. Repetition patterns.
Yeah.
Almost like a machine.
Yeah, like machine.
So how did Martin's visuals tie into this?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Martin provided these incredible vintage shots of trains and machinery, images that capture that same sense of relentless motion and mechanical rhythm that you hear in the music.
Wow, that's a powerful choice.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're showing us the gears turning inside the music. Makes me think, does this kind of repetition and structure, this machine-like precision, does that even exist in nature? Or is it a purely human invention?
That's a great question, and I think Fratres Machina really encourages us to think about those sorts of connections and contrasts. You know, we're talking about modern classical music, which often gets categorized as being very cerebral and intellectual, but Kibler is showing us that it can also be deeply moving and even visually stunning when paired with the right imagery.
Absolutely. It's not just about appealing to our intellect or emotions. He's engaging multiple senses at once. It's like he's creating a whole new way to experience this music.
Yeah, he's creating a world, an immersive experience that goes beyond just listening.
So we've got Fratres, we've got Einstein on the Beach. What other pieces make up this Fratres Machina world?
Well, there's a piece by Steve Wright called Piano Phase. That I think is really interesting. It's based on a technique called phasing.
Phasing, okay.
Now, phasing is when two identical musical lines start together but gradually shift out of sync with each other.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm following that. What does that actually sound like?
So imagine hearing two identical melodies playing at the same time. At first they sound perfectly in sync, but then one of those melodies starts to shift ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly. As that shift continues, it creates this really strange, mesmerizing effect, almost like the music is breathing or rippling.
Okay, so it's like the two melodies are interacting, almost dancing around each other.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So how does that translate visually?
Well, the video for Piano Phase is equally mind-bending. It uses these swirling kaleidoscopic patterns that shift and evolve in sync with that phasing effect in the music. It's like a visual representation of sound waves interacting and interfering with each other.
It's amazing how visuals can add so much depth to music. It's like seeing the music come to life.
And that's something Kibler does exceptionally well throughout Fratres Machina. He finds those visual elements that not only complement the music, but also kind of illuminate these hidden dimensions within it.
So we have this collection of modern classical pieces, all interpreted through synthesizers, paired with these amazing visuals. It all comes together to create this album that's exploring the intersection of human creativity and technology, framed by this overarching brother-machine theme.
Precisely. And we can't forget about the two end cap videos that Kibler included as his homage to Isao Tomita and Stanley Kubrick.
Oh yes, the two figures who so heavily influenced his artistic journey.
Exactly. They're positioned at the beginning and end of the album, almost like bookends, framing the whole thing, reinforcing those key influences. It's Kibler's way of paying tribute to the past, while also pushing forward into the future.
It's like he's saying, this is where I come from, and this is where I'm going, and I'm taking you on this journey with me.
I love that. And the fact that he's chosen to explore these themes through the lens of modern classical music, a genre that often gets overlooked in the mainstream, is even more remarkable. It's like he's shining a light on this whole world of music that many people might not even know exists.
And he's doing it in a way that's both intellectually stimulating and emotionally engaging. It's not just an academic exercise, it's a genuine artistic statement.
It is.
So we've explored the inspirations, we've delved into the musical choices, we've touched on those captivating visuals. Where do we go from here? What does Fratres Machina mean for us as listeners?
That's the perfect question to lead us into the final part of our deep dive, because ultimately Fratres Machina isn't just about appreciating one album, it's about expanding our understanding of music itself and grappling with those big questions about the future of creativity in a world where that line between man and machine is becoming increasingly blurred.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about this album, Fratres Machina, but how does it actually change the way that we as listeners experience art and music?
I think that's something that Kibler wants us to really think about. He's challenging us to move beyond these traditional boundaries, genre, medium, even that distinction between human and machine.
He's blurring the lines.
Yeah.
Saying, don't put music in a box. Don't assume,
Yeah.
What modern classical music is or what electronic music can do.
Right. Be open to new sounds, new experiences, new ways of thinking about how music is created and how we engage with it.
I see. So we can apply this to our own listening habits. Even if we're not composing music ourselves,
That's right.
we can be more curious, more explorative, seek out artists who are pushing boundaries, making us think differently about the world.
And that's what makes Fratres Machina so powerful. It's not just an album, it's a conversation starter. It's an invitation to engage with these big ideas about technology and creativity and the future of art.
Right. It's reminding us that music's always evolving. Yeah. We need to evolve along with it. Keep our minds and ears open to new possibilities.
Now, going back to one of those big ideas we've been talking about, if Kibler is right, and modern classical music is paving the way for AI-composed music, what does that actually mean for human creativity and expression?
Is it a collaboration? A competition? How will we as listeners engage with this evolving soundscape?
Yeah, will we embrace these new sounds? Or will we hold on to more traditional forms?
Those are some great questions, and I don't know if there's any easy answers.
Those are questions only you can answer, but I think one thing is for sure. The future of music is going to be fascinating. And projects like Fratres Machina give us a glimpse of what that future might hold.
I totally agree. I feel inspired and a little bit challenged, and just really curious to hear what comes next, both from György Kibler and just from the world of music in general.
So if you're intrigued by what we've discussed today, I encourage you to seek out Fratres Machina and experience it for yourself. Listen to the music, watch the videos, and see where it takes you.
And that's it for this deep dive into the world of György Kibler and Fratres Machina. We hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity and given you a fresh perspective on the power of music to challenge, inspire.